football fans? I am super excited to be back at it for my final mock draft. Now, I've done a ton of these simulations throughout the process, before the combine, after the combine, after free agency, everything. And we are finally 1 day away before the NFL draft. So in just over 24 hours, we're going to actually find out what is going to happen. But after all the smoke is cleared, after all the rumors that have been heard, even as recently as yesterday, there was a trade that switched up my mock draft where the Seattle Seahawks traded away Frank Clark. So a lot of things have happened. A lot of things have transpired. We've heard recent rumblings. So I wanted to wait everything out until a day before the draft, and things may still change after this, before the draft. Last year, everybody remembers Baker Mayfield. We didn't hear about him going number 1 overall till the day of the draft. But this is when I can do this mock draft, so this is what I think will happen as of today, 9:39 a.m. on Wednesday. So we're going to jump right into it. At number 1, we have the Arizona Cardinals, and I've kind of been back and forth on this. Are they going to take Kyler Murray? Aren't they? And recently we've heard some grumblings that they may not, but I'm going to stick to my initial thoughts. I thought at first I was going to do a mock where they didn't take him, but I decided when push came to shove, I think there's too much noise. Cliff Kingsbury will take Kyler Murray at number 1 overall to the Arizona Cardinals. I also wanted to say in this simulation, I'm going to have the LA Chargers getting Kyler Murray for a second-round pick in this year's draft and a future second-round pick. I don't think they're going to end up getting a first-round pick for him, but Rosen will go to the Chargers to learn under Phillip Rivers, and Kyler Murray will be an Arizona Cardinal. Of course, everybody loves Kyler Murray. He's this year's Heisman Trophy winner. Very athletic, very mobile, has a very good arm. He has a lot of good tools. The one question mark is his height, and some people may have some injury concerns with the way that he plays at his height and weight. But no doubt about it, he is going to be a difference maker at the NFL level, and he fits beautifully with that air raid system that Cliff Kingsbury is going to bring to the Arizona Cardinals. So they go out and get their quarterback. At number 2, that is going to bring up the San Francisco 49ers. And the 49ers, they're happy. They're going to get who they believe is the best player in this year's draft. He's a very safe pick here. He is by far the most pro-ready of the elite defensive players. He has the technique. He's got everything down. As I always say, not the best athlete in the world, but he's the best well-rounded player at this point at the defensive end position, and that is Nick Bosa. They're going to pair him with Dee Ford, and that is going to be a dynamic defense next year. If you're a 49ers fan, you've got to be happy with getting the former Buckeye, Nick Bosa. At number 3, that's going to bring up the New York Jets, and for months, I've had the New York Jets taking Josh Allen. I thought Josh Allen fit their defense perfectly, and they still very well may do that. But in recent weeks, we've heard that the New York Jets have been enamored with Ed Oliver, and I'm going to have them taking him. I'm going to have the Jets at 3 taking Ed Oliver. I've heard a lot of noise about this, and Ed Oliver is really good. He had a great pro day. He ran like a 4.8 40 or something. No, I think it was even less. I think it was like a 4.6 something 40. Great athlete, and he was the number 1 rated prospect going into this season. A lot of people thought he was the number 1 player and very well would have been the number 1 pick going into the college football season. He's got a ton of ability, and the New York Jets are going to get him. New York Jets get Ed Oliver. At number 4, the Oakland Raiders are up. And the Oakland Raiders could go a couple of ways here. I'm going to have them taking Quennin Williams, who I think is the best player in this year's draft. I've had them taking Quennin Williams for a while now. They could trade down out of this spot. They certainly could. But I'm going to have them staying pat at number 4 and taking Quennin Williams. Quennin Williams, of course, unbelievable defensive tackle. And he's got that ability to move both inside and out. Very athletic. I love this pick. He could equate to be an Aaron Donald-like talent. That's how high I am on this kid. And the Oakland Raiders should be very happy if they get him at number 4. At number 5, that brings us to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think, are going to go this route up this year. They lost Quan Alexander. They need some help there. He's a great safe pick. High upside out of LSU, Devin White. I absolutely love this pick for them, and I've had him mocked there pretty much since the start of this process. And I'd be surprised if he is not a Tampa Bay Buccaneer on draft night, unless the Oakland Raiders take Devin White at 4. But I love Devin White to the Tampa Bay Bucs. I think it makes a ton of sense. This kid's ceiling is through the roof. He came into college as a running back, actually translated to a linebacker, and some people still question his tackling ability. They say he tackles a little too high. But his side-to-side quickness, he ran a 4.4140 at the combine. And he's just a great athlete, a heavy hitter. I love this pick for the Tampa Bay Bucs. I think he's a perfect fit. Which brings us to the New York Giants. And we're up at number 6, and we could go a few ways here. We could go quarterback, Dwayne Haskins. We could go offensive tackle. But there is way too good of a player here in this mock to pass up. And that is who I believe fits our defense the best in this year's draft. I didn't think he'd ever get here, but with the recent rumblings about Ed Oliver, I think it's possible that either him or Quennin Williams falls to us. And that's Josh Allen going number 6 to the New York Giants. The outside linebacker, edge rusher out of Kentucky. This kid is ridiculous. He had, I think, 17 sacks this year, and he's got everything you want. He's got speed, he's got power, he's got long arms, and he's a hard worker. This guy put on 35 pounds this year to convert to be an every down role at the NFL level. He was being projected as a second, third round pick before this year, before he broke out and had a massive year for Kentucky. I absolutely love this pick for the New York Giants at number 6, and if it happens on draft night, I am going to be popping open bottles of champagne, and I think it's very possible. At number 7, that brings us to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, a lot of people have had the Jaguars taking T.J. Hockenson. They certainly could do it here. I've had a mock doing that in some of my prior mocks. And Hockenson fits that offense very well. But at the end of the day, I'm going to have the Jaguars taking a very safe pick here, helping out their new quarterback in Nick Foles by getting him some protection, and that is Jawaan Taylor. Jawaan Taylor has impressed everybody. He had a great combine, very athletic. A lot of people thought going into the process that he translated as a guard at the NFL level, but they were impressed with what they saw, and they said that he could definitely be a tackle. And most people have him rated as the highest offensive lineman in this year's draft, which is why I'm going to have the Jaguars taking him at number 7. At number 8, that brings us to the Detroit Lions. And the Detroit Lions went out and got Trey Flowers this offseason, which is certainly going to help that pass rush. I think they could still use a little more help. And I've had Sweat going here, but I'm going to have Sweat dropping a little bit in this mock because of the heart condition. I think teams at the end of the day are going to be scared off by him early in the first round. So I'm going to have the Detroit Lions taking Brian Burns out of Florida State. I like this kid a lot. I've had him going to the Falcons in most of my mocks, but I'm going to have him moving up here the day before the draft, going to the Detroit Lions at number 8. Add some punch to that pass rush. At number 9, that brings us to the Buffalo Bills. And I'm going to have my first trade in this mock draft. I'm going to have 2 trades in it. This is the first. I'm going to have the Buffalo Bills trading down. The Buffalo Bills sitting here at number 9. We all know that their biggest need is a offensive lineman. They certainly could use a weapon as well, like T.J. Hockenson still on the board. But knowing that their biggest need is an offensive lineman, knowing that there's still 3 or 4 top-tier offensive linemen on the board, in my opinion, I'm going to have the Buffalo Bills trading down with a team that we have heard in recent days is fixated on Dwayne Haskins. And that's the Washington Redskins. We're going to have the Redskins jumping up from 15 to 9 to go up and get their quarterback. And by doing so, they're going to give up 2 future second-round picks this year and next year, as well as the 15th overall selection. So it's a swap plus 2 second-round picks. The Washington Redskins move up at number 9, and they get their quarterback, the guy who I believe is the best quarterback in this year's draft, and that is Dwayne Haskins. Haskins, to me, high upside, has a really good arm. I love this kid, and the Washington Redskins fans, in my opinion, should be happy if they get him. They're giving up 2 second-round picks, but at the end of the day, you're getting a guy who you feel is your future franchise quarterback in Dwayne Haskins, and he has a really good guy to learn under in Alex Smith to pick his brain. Of course, Case Keenum, of course, was acquired there this year as well, but the Redskins get Haskins. At number 10, we have the Denver Broncos, and we've heard all the rumors that John Elway loves Drew Lock, and he's here at 10, and he fits beautifully there with the thin air. It will really be able to show up that strong arm that he has, and I love Drew Lock here to the Denver Broncos. I've had him going here for quite a while, and I think it makes a ton of sense. At number 11, the Cincinnati Bengals are up, and the Cincinnati Bengals really could use a good, safe pick here. I expect the Bengals to have a very poor season next year. They could go quarterback here, but the top 3 are gone. They could go Daniel Jones, but I'm going to have him taking Devin Bush out of Michigan. I absolutely love Devin Bush, and if he's there at 17 for my New York Giants, I would be thrilled. I think it's a guy that we certainly could take. But I'm going to have him going here to the Bengals. I think it's the right pick. I think it's a safe pick. I think he had a great combine. I think he impressed people. coming out of Michigan. We've seen him move up the mocks, and I love him here. I love him here to the Bengals at 11. At number 12, the Green Bay Packers are up, and I've had the Packers taking Oliver in a lot of my mocks, but in this one I've had Oliver move up to number 3 to the Jets, so he's not there. They could go Rashan Gary, but Rashan Gary I'm going to have dropping a little bit after what we heard about his shoulder and all that. And I'm going to have them getting a weapon here, actually. He's fallen a little bit. He goes in the 7 to 10 range by a lot of mocks, but in this one I'm going to have him taking T.J. Hockenson. The Green Bay Packers are going to help them in both the blocking and weaponry department. They're going to get themselves a nice target for Aaron Rodgers to throw to. You pair him up with Davante Adams, you're starting to create a nice offense there for those Green Bay Packers. At number 13, the Miami Dolphins are up. Miami Dolphins could once again go quarterback, like I said, with the Cincinnati Bengals, but I'm not going to have them doing that. I'm going to have them taking a very safe pick here, and a guy that is going to be there for the foreseeable future. Everybody expects the Dolphins not to be that good this year, and because of that, I'm going to have them taking Jonah Williams, the offensive lineman out of Alabama. He's safe. He's a guy that you can plug in there for the next 10 to 15 years, and he was rated by most people coming into this process as the number 1 offensive lineman, so I love him here to the Dolphins at number 13. Number 14, the Atlanta Falcons are up, and the Atlanta Falcons, we all know what their biggest need is, and that is a pass rush, and their defense was horrible last year. Granted, they had a ton of injuries, but the offense is strong. I mean, Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Devontae Freeman, who was hurt, of course, but they have weapons on the offense. They drafted the wide receiver last year, so I think defense is where you got to go here, and that is Clellin Ferrell out of Clemson. I like him here to go to the Atlanta Falcons. Get yourself a nice edge rusher to help out that defense. And Ferrell's certainly a very good player. It's a guy that my Giants could certainly look at 17 if he's there. But I'm going to have the Falcons swooping him up here at 14. At 15, we have the Buffalo Bills after the trade down. They moved down from 9 to 15 with the Washington Redskins. And in this scenario, I'm going to have them filling in their biggest need, the offensive line. They need to protect Josh Allen, and they're going to go out and get Cody Ford from Oklahoma. Very athletic offensive lineman. Like him here, mid-first round. That's where I think he's going to go, between 12 to 20, somewhere in that range. But Cody Ford out of Oklahoma, 15 to the Buffalo Bills. 16, the Carolina Panthers are up. Carolina Panthers, they're a tough team to draft for because they have a couple of needs. They could go for a wide receiver, but they drafted one last year in the first round. They could use a pass rush. They could use some offensive line help. But they did bring in They brought back Darrell Williams in free agency, and they brought in Paradis, the center. So I think they kind of helped out their offensive line there. 16, the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to go with a guy who has dropped because of the shoulder problem, and that's Rashan Gary out of Michigan. I think at 16, very high upside here. He's worth the risk here. Number 1 rated player coming out of high school. Everybody knows he's very talented, and he underperformed somewhat at the collegiate level. Some may say it was because of the way he was used, because of whatever. But Rashan Gary, very talented. He ran 4.5, 140 for his size and height and size is ridiculous. And what I love about this kid is you can play him both inside and out, and I think he's very valuable, and he's got a very high upside. And if you're a Carolina Panthers fan at 16, it's a good pick. At number 17, my New York Giants are up, and I was thinking about going one of two ways here. I thought they could certainly use a corner here, and I've had them going corner here. DeAndre Baker, Byron Murphy, Greedy Williams is still on the board, but I've seen the corners dropping on these mocks. And everything you've read, I've seen videos, Sims in particular, where he broke it down, that he doesn't think there's any elite corner in this draft. He thinks Greedy Williams has the highest upside, and he thinks corners will drop. And because of that, I'm going to have the New York Giants taking a safe pick here. They have a big, big need at the right tackle position, and they're going to go out and they're going to do that. They're going to get Andre Dillard. And now, all of a sudden, you've got a young, emerging offensive line between him and Hernandez from last year. Zeitler's still under 30 years old. You've got Solder. They've got a good offensive line forming for New York for the foreseeable future for the quarterback that they do decide to bring in either later in this draft or next year's draft. And to help out Eli Manning and that ground attack with Saquon Barkley this year. So, Andre Dillard at 17 to the New York Giants. That brings us to number 18 in the Minnesota Vikings. And the Minnesota Vikings, to me, are probably the easiest team to draft for in this year's draft. It's just a matter of what player you pick. The Vikings have a glaring need on the offensive line. Their offensive line was putrid last year. And they have most everything else. They have a very talented defense. They have some weapons on offense. They have their quarterback in Kirk Cousins, who didn't perform that well last year, but a lot of people may say it was because of the offensive line. And that is why I'm going to help them. I'm going to help him out and get Garret Bradbury. Bradbury was being mocked mid-second round a couple months ago, but he blew people away at the combine. And he could play both the center and guard position. And I like him here to the Vikings at 18. I think he makes a ton of sense. Number 19, the Tennessee Titans are up, and the Titans need a weapon for Marcus Mariota. Desperate need. And I'm gonna have them taking who I personally think is the best wide receiver in this year's draft, and that's A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown, just a great wide receiver, a great wide route runner, talented. I love him. I love A.J. Brown. He's here at 19 to the Tennessee Titans. He's gonna help out Mariota, get him another weapon, and maybe the Tennessee Titans get things rolling this year. At number 20, the Pittsburgh Steelers are up. Pittsburgh Steelers have a big glaring need at the corner position, and Greedy Williams has fallen here. Greedy Williams, high upside. I like him here to the Steelers at 20 if he got there. He's got a rare combination of height and speed. That's what people are enamored with him. He's 6'2", he runs like the wind. And upside up the charts. Yes, his tackling, he struggles somewhat. And that is why he is dropped and why people are not head over heels in love with him. But at 20... you're getting great value here in the Steelers. Maybe they can make something out of this kid. Like him here at 20, the Steelers. 21, the Seattle Seahawks are up. The Seattle Seahawks, of course, recently traded Frank Clark. And they need a pass rush here. Now, they're not going to get an edge rusher, but they're going to get a guy that can get pressure on the quarterback here at 21 in Christian Wilkins from Clemson. They're going to get a nice push up front, and he's going to help them on that defensive line. And I like Christian Wilkins a lot, and I like him here to the Seahawks at 21. 22, the Baltimore Ravens are up, and the Baltimore Ravens' biggest need, in my opinion, is a wide receiver. And they're going to get a guy who's been mocked much higher earlier on in the process after he blew people away at the combine with his 40 time and everything else. But at 22, I think you're getting good value here if you're the Baltimore Ravens, and they're going to go out and get DK Metcalf. Get some punch to that offense. 23, the Houston Texans are up, and the Houston Texans, much like the Minnesota Vikings, to me, are probably the easiest team to draft for in my mock draft because I know what they need. They need an offensive line. They surrendered the most sacks in football last year. That's ridiculous. So that is why they're going to get Dalton Risner. Very experienced offensive tackle. I absolutely love this guy, and I'm praying as a Giant fan he falls to us at 37. But in this mock, I got him going 23. At 24, the Oakland Raiders are up. And the Oakland Raiders last year, of course, traded away Clellin. They could certainly use some help there and get themselves a nice pass rusher. They did a great job addressing the offense in free agency by bringing in both Antonio Brown and Tyrell Williams at the wide receiver position. They certainly could use a running back as well. But I'm going to have them getting a pass rusher. I'm going to have them getting a guy who was dropped because of the heart condition, Montez Sweat. Love this kid. Absolutely love this kid. This kid is an animal. And the only question with him, I think, is the heart condition. And he doesn't have the best technique in the world. But very athletic, very strong. Love him at the NFL level. And he projects to be a really good pass rusher, in my opinion. At 24, Oakland is getting a fantastic talent. At 25, the Philadelphia Eagles are up. Philadelphia Eagles, to me, they need some help in the trenches. When they won their Super Bowl in 2017, they had a great offensive line. They had a great pass rush up front. They suffered on in both areas this year, and I'm going to have them going out and getting Dexter Lawrence, the defensive tackle, to help get more push up front. I think it's a great pick for them. I really do, and that's why I got him going here. Dexter Lawrence to the Philadelphia Eagles. At 26, I'm going to have my second trade. 26, the Colts are up, and I'm going to have them traded back with the New England Patriots. New England Patriots are going to give up a few picks here. They're going to swap the 32nd for the 26th and give up a couple of future assets. And by doing so, New England is going to move up to 26 and get their replacement for Rob Gronkowski, the super athletic tight end out of Iowa, Noah Fant. Love this pick here for New England. He fills a glaring need, and he gets Tom Brady a weapon. In Noah Fant, this guy, to me, projects to be the next Jimmy Graham. Super athletic, big-time playmaker, and I love him here going to New England. He's going to be great for them if they could get their hands on him at 26. Number 27, the Oakland Raiders are up, and the Oakland Raiders have already addressed the defense quite nicely. They've got an interior and exterior pass rusher in Quennin Williams and Montez Sweat. They need a running back. They're going to get the best running back in this year's draft, Josh Jacobs out of Alabama. like this pick here for the Oakland Raiders. It's going to help that offense out even more. And the Oakland Raiders, after this draft, they're looking mighty pretty this year. They certainly contend to make the playoffs. At 28, the LA Chargers are up. And the LA Chargers, probably the most complete team in football. If they're not, they're one of the top 2 or 3, them, the Rams. But I'm going to have them taking best player available, in my opinion, here, and that's Byron Murphy. I was either thinking him or DeAndre Baker, flip a coin. Byron Murphy. I'm going to have him going 28 to the Chargers. Going to help them get a nice cornerback there and shore up that secondary. 29, we've got the Seattle Seahawks up for their second time in this draft. After picking 21, this is now the pick that they acquired in the trade when they gave up Frank Clark to the Kansas City Chiefs. And they've already gotten some help on that defensive line. I think they need some help in the secondary. They need to get back to their Legion of Boom days. I'm going to have them going out there and getting Jonathan Abram. Good safety there for the Seattle Seahawks. At 30, the Green Bay Packers are up. Now, the Packers already gotten themselves a weapon at 12. They got TJ Hockenson. This is their second first-round pick. And I'm going to have them helping out that offense a little more by getting themselves a nice guard out of Boston College. Chris Lindstrom. It's a guy I really like. A lot of people have him going early second, late first. I'm going to have him going 30 to the Green Bay Packers as they beef up that interior offensive line. At 31, the LA Rams are up, and the LA Rams, much like the Chargers, very complete team. They're very strong on both sides of the football. There's no doubt about it. And they went to the Super Bowl last year. And that is why I think they are kind of a team. If there's any team in the first round that could take this leap, they are one of them. And they're going to take Jeffrey Simmons. Simmons, of course, is hurt right now, but this guy is a top 10, top 15 talent. And I love him here. I really do. I love him here to the LA Rams if he is there. Rams fans, I think, would be happy if they could get him at 31. 32, we're going to close it out. This was originally the New England Patriots pick. Now it will be the Indianapolis Colts after the trade down. And Indianapolis Colts, great offensive line, great quarterback. They have some weapons. They could certainly go wide receiver, but they have an early second-round pick where I think they could go wide receiver as well. I'm going to have them taking Jerry Tillery out of Notre Dame. Great pass rusher there and can help out that defense, get some pressure on the quarterback, and really help out what I believe is the biggest weakness for that Indianapolis Colts football team, and that is the defense. So Jerry Tillery at 32 to the Indianapolis Colts. And that completes our mock. And after the mock is finished, as a Giants fan, I'm looking at some names that are falling. Now, we, of course, have already addressed the pass rush. We've addressed the offensive line. Daniel Jones still on the board. Could certainly go there at 37. DeAndre Baker still on the board. Cornerback, if he falls, you could certainly go there. You've got a couple other guys as well. You got the safety out of Delaware. So, as a Giants fan, we've got a lot of options here in the second round, and we'll see where it goes. But that is my final mock draft. After all the smoke is cleared, I had 2 trades. I tried my best to simulate what I think could happen on draft night. Had Kyler Murray not gone first, who knows what would have happened in my mock, but I had him going first. Giants could certainly go Haskins at 6. I still think that's very much on the table. But if Josh Allen is there, I think they have to take him. I think he projects as a guy that could be that next great pass rusher for the New York Giants, and they have needed it for a long time. So, as always, I hope you liked what you watched. I'd like to get your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like about my mock draft, what you may have done differently, what you agree with, what picks you liked. And as always, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.